Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, April 29th, 2020, show number 1253. I'm your host, Shawn King, joined as always by my wife, Melissa. Hey, you.
Hello.
How you doing?
Fine.
Surviving the pandemic?
Not every day, but
Literally taking it one day at a time. That's
yes,
all you can really
it's a very existential way to live.
It's not a good way, not a bad way, it's just the way it is.
It is.
On tonight's show, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. He put up an effusive, I'll have to explain what that word means to him, glowing review of the new Magic keyboard for the iPad Pro. I'm amazed. Jim doesn't do this. Jim is like a lot of us Nova Scotians, doesn't go over the top about things. He usually dials it back. He went over the top times 10 of this review of the keyboard, so it'd be interesting to talk to him about it. Apple says they might be reopening some stores in May. Is that a good idea? How would we have dealt with the coronavirus 20 years ago, or even, say, 25 years ago? And later in the show, in our starting point photography, we're going to have a photo critiquing session by Melissa. You're going to do your own photo critiquing.
Well, with your support.
Of course, with my support. Always with my support. And the reason why we're doing that is because it's one of the things I teach in my classes is that thinking about photography is a way to become a better photographer, along with a lot of other things, obviously. But thinking about what makes a photograph good and bad. Don't just look at a photograph and go, oh, I like that, and move on. Or I don't like that, and move on. Why do you like it? Look at it critically. See the elements of it that you do like, that you don't like, and what you would do to make those pictures better. Melissa was looking through some photos, I think earlier this week or last week, and showing them to me and going, I went, that's very good. Her critiques were really, really good from her point of view. And there are some I disagree with. And we'll talk about that in the starting point photography segment of the show. Speaking of adulting, I love this line. I don't want to adult today. I don't even want a human today. Today, I want to be a dog. I'll be lying on the floor in the sun. Please pet me and bring me snacks. Sometimes, wouldn't that just be great? And because of that lying in the sun, pet me and give me snacks, Melissa and I bought a hammock. HammockUniverse.com. What's wrong? Yes, HammockUniverse.com. Melissa's going to show you an example of said hammock. Just a moment while I get you up. Put it right here. There you go.
This is our hammock.
That's hammock.
This is the color theme.
It's not. It looks terry cloth, but it's not terry cloth.
No, it's a very rough Hessian kind of a fabric. Very cotton drill Hessian.
What?
I'm a seamstress, so
okay.
A Hessian's like a sort of a sack, but not scratchy, but like a sack that you would get, a nice sack. Yeah.
Because to me, Hessian is a Revolutionary War term for a bunch of German mercenaries.
Yes, but Hessian, I think it came from that, but Hessian is what sacks are made of.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's like the saying Marilyn Monroe, she looked gorgeous in a Hessian sack. I think she even did a photo in a Hessian sack.
Really?
And she did look gorgeous, because she always did.
But before we put up the hammock, and it's a self-standing hammock. We don't have two trees to put it between, so there's a stand that it goes on. Before the hammock goes up, we have to put up an 8x10 resin plastic shed, which may or may not be difficult or easy. We don't know yet. It looked easy on the video that we saw on the company's website. Suncast.com is the website. It looked easy, but I don't know if they're leaving.
There's always we should have some healthy skepticism about the whole thing.
The biggest issue is that we have a weather window to tomorrow and Friday. The only 2 days we're going to have. It's out in our front yard right now. It's wrapped in plastic, but I don't want to leave it out in the front yard until we have 10 days of sunshine. And of course, crazy person over here has decided that we can't just put the shed up against the back of the house.
No.
The back of the house has to be painted first.
Because we're painting the house.
We're going to paint the whole house, okay? That's fine. There's no problem with that. But she wants the part of the house that's behind the shed that will be hidden from view. The shed's going to be behind the house. No one can see.
I feel like Dave D would help me out here. Dave.
No one can see the shed because it's back there, right? And then the shed will be up against the house, so no one will be able to see behind the house. and yet she still wants to paint that part.
So this is how much he's got my oldest on here, because they're always got their little jokes between them against me, and they've always got their little conspiracies and their little. So Damon said this morning, we can just paint around the shed. So that means that if somebody did buy our house, which I'm not really thinking I'm going to go anywhere, they would pull the shed away and there would be an outline of the shed. Like, how tacky, how poor white trash is that?
But they wouldn't know that until after we sold them the house.
Yeah, it's just tacky.
After we moved to Australia. And we're not going to give them a forwarding address. So they're not going to know. Besides, why would they pull... What?
See? Damn straight, Melissa. You win on this one. That's my guy.
See, Dave, you just... Come on, man.
Yes, I want hot summer day. And it's in a nice spot to paint it, DH, at the back. It'll be in the shade.
But...
It's for protection. That's true, Monty.
Protection?
And listen to MacMac. As long as the check's cleared, who cares?
That's what I'm saying.
I would not sleep for the rest of my life knowing that one day those people would move and go...
And you would do that too. If we moved into this house and moved the shed and looked at it, you lazy bastards.
I would just be like, what? And then I question the integrity of many other things in the house.
You cheap sons of bitches! You couldn't paint this part. Yeah.
So we and just the slackness of it. It's just not proper. So we chose this beautiful Vermont barn red. That New England.
Nova Scotia barn red.
Oh, sorry, it's too... Well, we were going to get this beautiful, buttery, mustardy sort of a yellow. Oh, kind of like this. But to honor Nova Scotia and all the beautiful, beautiful, bright buildings, I love the way they do that. But
the
wasn't
problem is
work.
The house now is white, and we were told that the color yellow that we chose... the white would bleed through, and therefore it wouldn't be nearly as bright as we wanted to. So there's no point in putting a bright yellow because it's not going to work. So the red's going to be nice.
It's going to be pretty beautiful.
It's going to be like you said, a barn red, but a very high quality red that'll probably last 20 years.
Yes.
So.
And Monty's right. It'll protect the house and make it look.
I disagree with protect the house because it's a cottage. It's sheet metal on the outside.
Yeah, but now we power wash it, but you see little rusty bits from the nails and stuff.
Yeah, the paint's not going to make any difference there.
But it'll cover it up. That's what it's all about, right?
See, only a Canadian would care about what the future owners thought about whether the wall behind the shed was painted or not.
I have become a Canadian, haven't I?
He's right.
Whereas he's not. I am.
He's not far wrong, though. We are those kinds of people that would think about that in 40 years, when the shed's completely falling apart and the owners of this place need to tear it down like we're doing with the one that's already there, they're going to go, those cheap bastards.
It just would look so funny with an outline.
It really
there.
would. It's one of the reasons why I want to do it.
Oh.
Our good friend Jim Dalrymple can't be here at 5:45 like he usually is. He's on a phone call with Apple as we speak. So we are going to take a quick little break here, and then we're going to come back with Melissa's photo critique. So please, and stay tuned because we've got a very special announcement meeting for you guys. You guys in the chat room, let me know if this comes through, if you can hear it. We'll be right back in about a minute. This is your Mac Life.
Hi, it's Vito from Prince George, British Columbia. I listen to Your Mac Life every week. I think I've been listening to Your Mac Life for 20 years. We're talking about 8 hours of entertainment a month on average. And yes, I do send in some money every month. I want to keep the show going. I think you can too. Help them out. Help out Shawn and Melissa. Send them some bucks every month. If you enjoy the show, why not? 2, 4, 5, 10, 12, 100. See you later.
In tonight's Starting Point Photography segment, we're going to be doing a photo critique, but a little photo critique from a different angle. This is photo critique done by Melissa. Melissa's going to do the photo critique. Where did this idea come from, Miss Melissa? It was me.
Well,
It was my idea.
Well, of course, being with Shawn and critiquing photographs and all the talk that we do about photography. So my dear friend,
Oh, you going to name her?
long time friend, Australian. She's a bit older than me. Because when I was young, I started hanging out with the older girls. No, we all hung out together, but Kerry and Joe were very dear to me. And Kerry is an incredibly well-traveled. She left Australia. She was gone for years. I mean, she's been, I know, to every continent, but she has been to more countries than anybody I know.
Yeah.
A crazy traveler. So they started this challenge in Australia. They had a little competition going with their travel photographs. So Kerry was posting them. So that's where it came from. I started looking because, of course, straight away I was very interested. When I started traveling, her and Cherie and Joanne gave me my first Swiss Army knife that I used in Ireland to cut soda bread and lay on the grassy slopes of Ireland. And so they were very encouraging to me to travel. So she started posting these photographs.
Yes.
And I would look at them and I would be like, oh. Way better photograph. So, but some of them, I guess what it was is that potentially they could have been really quite dynamic, and so that's where it all came from.
And when you started talking about this, I immediately flashed back, and I've told the story before. My Uncle Bob was, I think he was in the Merchant Marine. I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old in the Merchant Marine, and he'd go away for three months. When he'd come back, we'd all go over to Uncle Bob's house, and Mom and Dad would drink, Mother heavily, Father heavily, and Uncle Bob, the kids would sit in front of the projector, and he had one of those old carousel slide projectors, and he would show us these photos. And I'm 9 years old, and I knew these photos were shit. I knew they were awful. I'm sitting there at 9 eating my popcorn going, these are not good photos. It was torture, utter torture. And that's part of why I want to do the photo tourism thing, but it's also what Melissa's talking about. It's such a shame to go to these places, sometimes go to these beautiful places and come back with shitty photographs, shitty memories of shitty images that you can't print out, or you can because you don't know. But one of the keys is people don't know oftentimes when their own photos aren't good because you don't know about photography. You just take that picture without thinking about the picture. So what Melissa's going to do is I'm going to put up some of these shots, and she's going to sorry.
Well, and the other thing about Kerry, Shawn's met her. We actually did a
she's
tour
lovely.
of her. Well, she's just a wonderful woman. We did a tour. She works in the most popular radio station in Newcastle. Yep. Is that she's very dedicated to her photography.
Yes.
Yeah, when you go out with Kerry, she's got her. Even when she visited me in Canada, yep. She's very, very enthusiastic about photography. So
now the other problem that Kerry has is that when she posts to Facebook, she'll post 325 photos. Don't do that. Don't subject your friends and family on Facebook that. Pick like at max 5 each day if you want to, or once a week. Do not post 325 photos because I looked at the first 100 when this is just painful. This is just you're making me crazy with this. And don't post several photos of the same thing. She would post 8 photos of basically the same thing, just from slightly different angles. They're all bad, but they were just from slightly different angles. So don't do that. If you want to put all your photos up someplace, use Flickr where you can create albums and things like that, and then just do 1 or 2 on Facebook, or 3 or 4 every few days. Don't just barf up 300 photos on Facebook because people aren't going to look at them. I guarantee you, people are not going to look at your photos. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Let me do first.
Just a few.
First of all, we got
I picked.
Block off Melissa's face. Okay, so what do you see in this photo?
Well, I love
the
composition of this photograph. I find her fascinating. I find her, she's beautiful and intriguing, and all of it. But I see all the darkness on the right side of her face. The light is too harsh in my. I mean, everybody can correct me if I'm wrong. This is just me in bed going, a bit more cropping, closer if she would have allowed it. But certainly the lighting is ruining the impact of this photograph.
How would you have changed the lighting of this photograph? What would you have done differently?
Well, maybe in editing, I would have tried to have lit up the other side of her face. It's too shadow.
No, first of all, you want to get it right in camera, and then get it better.
Maybe get her
in
to
software.
turn a little bit.
Exactly. All she would have had to do is either stand in her position, or the sun is on. Looks like a child on the right hand side of the child's face. If you take 2 steps to your left and have that child just turn their head a little bit, whether the child is posed, whether you're asking the child to look at you, or they're just walking by. If you stand that way and they turn their head, you'll get that full sunlight on their face. Or the reverse is true. Have full shade in their face, and then you can fix that in post.
Right,
You can
but right now you
lighten
have
it up.
quite a contrast of color.
Which would make it look very very hard in Photoshop or Lightroom and things like that to even everything out, because you got bright spots and dark spots. So
Yes.
that's a problem. What else?
But
What other
still,
issues do you see?
I think if she had have just again changed her position a little bit, because some of her, I can't see it very well. Oh, and I didn't get it in.
You can open up your iMessages and click on the
I
photos.
did, but for some reason this one,
Well, scroll through, because you sent it to me via iMessage.
I know, but for some reason that one's not there.
Should be the last one.
Nope.
Anyway, the other issue I see here,
Yes, go on.
the little kids in the background.
Yeah, I don't want them
Hang
in the
on.
background.
Have our mics died? Suddenly I can't hear Melissa. Jesus. It's Wednesday!
Oh my goodness. Shadows are terrible. The angle is wrong. Presuming the woman is posed, asked her to move. Yes, so
Yes.
Monty, so we're on the right track.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, really, you can see the potential of this photograph.
Absolutely, yeah.
But again, moving and not having the kids in the background.
Next photo?
So, first of all, and this is my amateur looking at it. It's still harsh time of day.
Yes. You can look at the shadows. I'll post it here on the right hand side. I can't tell if it's left or right hand side, but the shadows show you that this is noon. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is whatever time, but it's bright, sunny day in the deserts of Jordan.
And you can imagine, I think this is, maybe Jordan. Sorry, I know some of them are Peru. You can imagine the colors that would emerge during the golden hour in a place like this. Though that rock would glow, like it would be very special. So I looked at it, but then I thought, well, how would I take a photograph in a place like this?
Yep.
Would I put someone if you can go inside, in a doorway and just go up to one of the cutouts in the cliff? I don't know if other people, but there's too much. You have to come in and zoom in on one part of it that is intriguing, and I have no idea what the sign says.
Perfect line for Monty. This is more of a documentation photo. There isn't much story to it. That's what I would ask her is, why did you take this picture?
Well,
What for you, what's interesting in this picture?
Well,
Tell
probably
me this.
being there was incredible.
Sure, exactly. But that's what you want to think about is what's the story of my image? What's the story I want to tell other people? If the image only speaks to you, that's fine.
You can keep it.
You
You're
can
for
certainly
yourself.
keep it. But she posted this on Facebook. So therefore, she wants to tell us a story. What's the story of this image? It's not, to me, it's bland and boring. And I frankly wouldn't have taken it. One of the problems that I know she's going to have is that if she was with a tour group, they go to these places at
in
certain
the middle
times.
of the day, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to this place from 10 to 10:15, and this place from 10:15 to 10:20, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so she
I mean,
may
but
not have
aside
the
from that,
opportunity.
it's still. The other thing I thought of was I might go and find a corner of it that's and a more intimate picture of it to capture maybe the carved out doors in the it is incredible, instead of the whole thing. Maybe I would go in close.
There might be a picture. I don't think there is. I think this is one of those things where, this is really cool, and not take a picture of it, in my personal opinion.
It's a hard one. That one's
It
a
is.
hard one because you want to take a picture,
Yep.
but
Next. Camel.
Yeah. So, oh my God. I mean, this could be a real character of a great colors. I just adore the colors. But, for the potential of what it could be, it's boring. He's cut off at the knees.
That's the first thing I noticed.
It's harsh. It's
Again, look at the shadows. They're coming straight
right.
down.
Yeah, the sun's right, and it needs to be cropped. It's just unfortunately a really bland photograph that has the potential to be kind of a nice photograph of the camel. And I don't like camels.
No one likes camels. On the left-hand side of the photo, you've got some sort of setup up there that can be cropped out.
Yes.
On the right-hand side, near the camel's ear, you've got a sign there.
Sticking out of his ear.
Sticking out of his ear. All you got to do, if she takes half a step to her right, that thing goes away. Something else we've talked about often on the show and in my photography classes, don't just look at the thing that you're taking a picture of. Look behind the thing. Look around the thing. Check your corners. One of the things I do just before I push the shutter button is I look to all four corners of my image to see what's behind the thing I'm focusing on. And sometimes you'll see a tree or a branch or a sign or that kind of stuff. That
another thing that I would like to see with this is if you could go behind him and get him to do this. If he would turn,
look over his shoulder.
Because then you'd get that different view.
I think even moving to the right a couple of steps and having the camel turn its head that way, so you get the full side of the camel, and the camel turning and looking at you.
Yeah.
This, unlike the previous photo, this is one where you can spend a little time at and work the photo.
Yeah.
You can't. The previous photo you couldn't work except for wait for a different time of day.
Right.
This one you can walk around.
Yeah, you
and maybe
could.
Get the hey camel over here, camel, 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 kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I agree.
I just love the colors.
The big thing for me is looking at your corners and don't cut off limbs of things.
Exactly.
She's cut this poor camel off at the knees.
Yeah.
And it's even if you don't notice it, it's subconsciously distracting.
Yeah.
You have to watch out for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next photo.
Oh, this one I thought. I think it's got a camel sitting at the base of it.
Hang on, just get it. There we go.
So I can see some positives. I see way too much of the darkness there, but I can see she's got sort of that intriguing not like a leading line. Do you know what I mean? Like there's the opening to this incredible cavernous underground, whatever it is. I kind of don't mind it. It gives you a size. I like that there's a scale with the camel there. Yeah. I do like that. I mean,
I think it's the same camel too.
Yeah, it's probably the same.
I mean, it might be.
It's my camel for the day. It's not too bad. I don't know what you guys.
Just to remind, Monty brought up a question. The previous camel shot, it was a soft shot. It wasn't tack sharp. It wasn't a video, but the focus of the shot wasn't very sharp.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah.
But this one, I agree with you on this one. I get the idea of what she's trying to do, and I like the idea. But again, the camel is sitting in a blown out, highlighted area.
Right.
And that's something you may not be able to fix because she's got the darkness on the edges of the photo with this bright sunlight. Monty mentioned it before. You can use an ND filter. You can use filters on your lens cover, on your lens to kill some of the light so it's not this bright. But then you're generally going to need a tripod, too, to set things up on. And when you're traveling, you may not want to carry around a tripod unless you have a really, really small one. Because the problem is trying to soften that harshness. And like we've always said, a hot spot, a bright white hot spot, you can't recover detail out of.
Yes.
A darker spot you can recover detail out of. So I would rather make the camel, the area around the camel, exposed properly and have the sculptured buildings in the background be a little dark, because I know I can fix that in Photoshop versus the other way around.
Okay, yeah, which is a very good hint.
And what you do with that is, because of the distance she is away from the camel, what you would do is you would focus on the ground near the camel, not the camel, on the ground near the camel, because you know everything's going to be in focus. Now, it doesn't matter what your f-stop is because you're so far away. So let's assume that this is F11. It's the fire and forget f-stop. You focus on the ground and tell the camera expose for the ground. So it'll make everything around it dark, and will make the ground the color you expect it to be, which I'm going to assume is the same color as the buildings in the background. And then you'll see, oh shit, the buildings are darker, but you'll know you can bring it into an editing program and lighten up the dark spots while keeping the exposure of the camel and the area on the camel, that sand color that you wanted. I like the composition of this one. I think I know the idea that she was going for this one.
I do too. Monty says he would just cut out the camel.
Yeah, you can do that.
Focus on the wall.
You can absolutely do that.
But I like the camel in it, actually.
Because, as you said, the camel gives scale. Without the camel there, you have no idea how tall that space is.
Because you're standing there going, wow, look at this.
Whereas with the camel, with the camel there, you can see that's probably 40, 50 feet high.
Oh, it's incredible.
And it's carved in the rock.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. I think this was Jordan, too, as well.
Is it Jordan?
Absolutely amazing.
I know some of it I took was Nepal.
Or Turkey, one
Peru.
of the two. But yeah, it's amazing stuff. But that camel gives scale to the whole shot.
But he is washed out.
Shot.
Well, as Shawn said, Machu Picchu. How many shots of Machu Picchu have been taken
from this exact same spot?
But I mean, well, first of all, my goodness, she chopped off the top of Machu Picchu.
Which is just bizarre. And the bottom of the llamas.
And the bottom of the llamas. And again, harsh time of day.
Yep.
And Monty, I'll go with what Monty said. It's a documentation shot. It's Machu Picchu. I don't know what else to...
Well, it's one of those shots that it's been taken... This is how you get into Machu Picchu. So every tourist with a camera stops in this spot and takes this picture. Picture's been taken 1,000 times. It's like the picture of the Eiffel Tower. I say Eiffel Tower, you know what picture I'm talking about. Everyone takes it. And I try to get people, you can take this picture. Don't show it to anybody. It's a picture. It's a memory shot for you.
For yourself.
But you don't ever have to post this, because unless it's better than the other 1,000 pictures of Machu Picchu I've seen, it's gonna pale in comparison. But again, this is another example of looking to the corners. As Melissa said, she tabletopped Machu Picchu. She cut the top of the fucking mountain off, and the poor little llamas in the foreground, she cut their damn legs off. Now, for me, if I have to take this picture, if someone put a gun to my head to take this picture, I get down to where the llamas are.
I was just going to say that.
I want to get a llama in the foreground.
Like get interesting llama expression with Machu Picchu in the background, maybe just a bit blurry even.
That's right. Even, exactly. Have your llama be in focus and Machu Picchu out of focus. Or, remember, you can do this. And when you learn to do it, it's a really cool little trick. You have something in the foreground, have something in the background. Learn how to change your focus spots quickly. Because what you can do is you can focus very quickly on the llama, recompose, take the picture. And then focus on the mountains and recompose. So what you'll have is two shots, one with the llama out of focus and Machu Picchu in focus. The other with the reverse, Machu Picchu out of focus and the llama in focus. And see which one works better for you. This, unfortunately, is just, again, it's the time of day. And one of the things I know about Machu Picchu is it's a hike. It's like an 8-hour hike.
Oh, yeah.
To get there.
It's a big deal.
So they would have left at dawn to get here at noon, and now you've got this shitty light to take pictures with. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Next photo. Well, that's it. No more
photos.
photos.
I thought I sent an iceberg one.
Oh,
I
you
just,
did.
I do want to. I just
on.
did want to ask people.
Just a second. You did. Let me get that iceberg foot shot up.
And then I'm sorry. I don't want to take up all the time.
It's all the time in the world. Are you kidding me? So let me just get this.
I have it.
Shot.
It's funny. I have it where I sent it when I sent it to you.
No, I've got it. I just don't have. Just calm down. Let's reopen it up in a different window. Just a second, folks. Come on, work with me. Open image in new tab. Oh, shoot.
Oh, my goodness.
Massive. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Here's her.
Well, I guess I picked this one because I thought, well, this is, not often people are seeing these things. And it's...
Hang on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Stupid thing is... There we go. All right.
And I think I'd bring it in, I'd crop it a bit more, for sure. move it over closer at the right there and bring
Yes.
down some of the sky. I like that ridge in the background. I
Yes.
do love that swirl and all the texture and shapes. But I just thought, well, how else could you take a picture of a ginormous iceberg like that? I mean, it's pretty well that's what you're going to get, isn't it?
The only thing I see in this, not the only thing, one of the things I see is, and it's a minor thing, on the left-hand side of the picture, she's cut the iceberg off.
Yes. That's why I thought she should move it over.
Yep.
So yeah.
I might take a picture of just the left-hand side iceberg. Sorry, left or right-hand side iceberg.
Yeah.
Because that's a really cool sculpture.
Yes.
It's a really, really neat photo.
Okay.
Because the left side of it is not particularly interesting. But the right side's
Right.
really cool. And I would have taken several photos because obviously she's on a boat. So this perspective is going to change as the boat moves. And you would have seen different angles and aspects of it. The colors are beautiful.
They are beautiful.
I would definitely punch up the sky a little bit more. Not cheat. We showed that app a few weeks ago that let you remove the sky. She could have put the Milky Way here. No, not that.
No.
But just to give a little more contrast, a little more bump to the sky would
Yeah,
look really
it's
nice.
like Monty said, color correct that one a bit, and it's okay. And I agree that I just wanted to talk about icebergs and wow.
It's the idea that you are in a location that, unlike Carrie, sorry, forgot her name. Unlike Carrie, who travels a lot, you may never get to this place ever again. This is Antarctica. This is not a trip you go on like Mexico every summer kind of thing. This is for a lot of us, a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you want to have the ability to capture that in ways that do it justice. That don't just make memory photos. You want photos that, like I said, I wanted people to ask you about the photo. That's a guide I use to tell me whether it's a good photo. Someone goes, "Wow, where is this?" Or "How did you get this shot?" Or "Who is that?" Or those kinds of things are triggers for me to say, "Yes, I've got a story here," because you want to know what the story is. You want to talk to me about the photo. So it's one of those things you got to think about when you're taking these shots. This is easy because it's obviously Antarctica. So people are going to, "Wow, you went to Antarctica." My first question is, "Do you have any penguin pictures?" That's the first thing I ask. Where are the penguin pictures? But it's one of those things that you've got to know. If you're going to go to a place like this, learn your camera, learn photography, take advantage of the technology that we have, and you being able to go to these amazing places that you can capture images, like I said, that do the places justice. And it's not, the frustrating thing is, it's not that hard. But if you don't know what you don't know, see, the thing is, Carrie doesn't know what a good photo is. She may look at a photo and say, "Yes, I like it," or "No, I don't like it." She doesn't know how to create a good photo. What are the elements that go into a good photo? The idea of looking around and things like that. So that's part of the problem. So
I just sent you one more.
did you?
That was taken by
Oh, but
Shawn
this is-
Berryman
this is
many years ago.
Wait.
Sorry?
Wait. You want me to show a picture that your ex-husband took?
Well, he's a
Is that what you're
photographer
saying?
because I'm
Is that what
interested
you're
to
saying?
see. I mean, so first of all, this is my God, what a
Hang
place.
on. Wait. I'm teasing.
Oh.
Sean is an amazing photographer.
He's very good.
He's an incredible wildlife photographer. Shawn Berryman. What's his Instagram? Do a search for Shawn.
Oh.
He spells it wrong. SHAUN.
I don't think Shawn does a lot of his,
But
He's
got stuff up there that's just spectacular. Same with
Yeah.
Damon
Yeah.
Berryman. He's also an amazing photographer. He's definitely got his
But this
father's photography genes.
So what? That's a tent there, by the way.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What do you think about this one?
I think that the horizon, I don't know if it's because of the ice field. I don't know if I think the ice field would be straight. I think the horizon needs to be.
See, now, I would disagree with you if only because look at where, that's Rory, right?
That's me.
That's you?
Oh my gosh, that's years ago.
Oh my God. You're standing on
Rock.
rock, but it looks like it's straight.
Yeah, so maybe
So
it's the ice.
I'm going to guess it's the ice.
Which for me, I wouldn't think Shawn would get an off horizon.
Yeah. So I think the ground is flat and straight.
Yeah.
And therefore the ice mountains behind it.
Yeah.
Where were you guys?
This is Kenai Fjords National Park in Alaska.
Wow.
It is ice.
So how
solid.
old is this photo?
before the boys were born, so 25, 30
25
years
ago?
old.
Yeah, I'm asking because this is obviously shot on film.
Yes.
I
Oh,
can
yes. He had
I
a
can see
film
that shot
camera.
on film, and this is not. He hasn't done any editing to this because you can see splotches on the
No.
on the film, and the other problem is Instagram destroys image quality.
Oh, okay.
So this is not a very good image from a quality standpoint.
Okay.
From a photographic standpoint, from the critiquing of it, I don't know that I like the idea that he's cut off the mountains on both sides. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's probably an Instagram crop.
I think it's an Instagram crop.
And that's one of the things you have to worry about and watch for when you post things to Instagram. Is Instagram will chop your photo up in ways that you may not like it to be.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He had much more of
Let's see.
the mountain on that left side there.
Okay. The thing about it is it does exactly what you want a good photo to do. Where were you? This is an amazing picture. And what time of year was this? Is this summertime in Alaska?
Yes.
Dear God, there's too much snow for summer.
Well, it's an ice field.
Yeah, I
So it's
don't
always
care.
like that.
They're pouring martinis down, and I don't want to be there.
Yeah, no.
And that's 10. You guys were camping on an ice field.
Yes.
You guys are crazy.
We would hike and then fall asleep on trails and wake up at 2 a.m. because it was light all the time and be surrounded by goats, mountain goats, dull sheep.
Monty, you can tell it's a film shot. The color of the emulsion is showing through the white of the ice.
Anyway, for composition, I just wondered what people thought of it. So
I like
icebergs.
This is the kind of shot I want to see as a bigger shot, because his composition is great. Because he's got you, he doesn't have you in the center. You're off to the side. You and the tent are off to the side, and you have these magnificent mountains in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd definitely like to see a better version of this shot that hasn't been destroyed by Instagram.
So what I have been doing, there's another, a young woman today, she had something for sale on the buy and sell, whatever, and I looked at her. She's a young woman, young mum, photographer, and she had taken some beautiful, delightful photographs of her kids and other people, but I was looking and seeing there were cut off limbs, and I realized that these basics that I'm kind of getting embedded in my head, from Shawn and learning, the other people that claim to be photographers, they don't have them.
It's funny that you say it that way, with the air quotes of claiming to be photographers. Everyone's a photographer.
They're professional photographers.
Exactly, yeah.
She's selling her photography.
That always throws me off when I see such obvious mistakes made by professional photographers, wedding photographers or children photographers. You go, didn't you see that tree coming out of the child's head? I think I used as an example in one of my classes. I think it was the first official shot of, I can't get my royalty names correct. Prince William is the next king, and his wife,
Kate
Middleton, and Prince William.
Yes, William and Kate.
And the first baby.
Oh, I don't.
Okay, first baby. They took a picture, and so there's 3 heads, all dead center of the shot, just literally dead center. I'm like, you're a pro, and
it's royalty.
And it's royal, and it's a poorly composed image.
Exactly.
It's a terrible picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just because you're getting paid for it and you can call yourself a pro doesn't mean you're a good photographer.
It's true, and then unfortunately there was the potential of a great photograph, but I got distracted because my knowledge now tells me that she cut all the kids off at the knees, or and it just doesn't. You are aware of it.
It's one of those things that I often worry about being too picky about from the point of view of. So I'll always ask someone, "Is this a good photo?" I do that in my class. I've got 3 examples of photos. Do you like this photo? Completely subjective point of view. I may hate it, you may love it, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. Yes, I like it. No, I don't like it. Okay, why do you like it? Tell me why I'm making you think about why you like this photo. And I often wonder if people who say they don't like a photo, if they know why they don't. A lot of people say, well, I don't know. And when I point out to them have you noticed they cut the knees off? And they'll go, oh, okay, that's why I don't like it. Maybe they didn't never notice that, but because I led them to it, That's when they realized it.
Yeah, but
That's
I
why worry
still
about it.
think that you look at it and think, like there's something. You just can't name what it is.
Yeah, exactly. There's something about it I don't like.
Yeah.
That's right. But try to figure out why you like it. Why the whole point of all of this is why you like it, why you don't like a photo, and learn from that, because we can't take photos 24/7. But there's people out there who are taking photos all the time. So learn from their photos. Ask yourself those questions. Why do I like this photo or not? And if I do, why? If I don't, why? Figure it out and adjust and use that knowledge in your own photography. What were you saying about you?
Oh, well, Monty and Prince George.
Prince-
George Alexander Lewis.
That's not a bad name.
That's my Rory Alexander
Rory
Berryman. Isn't that a great name?
Alexander's
oh
a
my
great
God.
name.
Oh, Alexander is a brilliant
Although
name.
I will admit, one of my nephews is named Maximilian. That's a
Well,
bad-
Maximilian
I
is a
love
very cool
Maximilian.
name.
It's a great Max a nickname.
Oh, of course.
Although Alex's nickname, not so much. You know what I mean? Alexander's a great name, but I wouldn't like to.
No, it's Alexander.
It's Alexander.
Yes.
But Maximilian, it's Max.
Oh, Max is cool.
You have to go feed the children, don't you?
Well, it isn't.
No, you have to go feed the children.
Jim, fine.
When we come back,
I'm
we're gonna-
leaving now.
we're-
Bye, all.
Jim just sent me a text message. He's still on his call with Apple. So when we come back, we're going to do some of your questions and some of your comments. So stay tuned. You want to say goodbye now?
Well, because Jim's coming and.
You're not going to come back after Jim?
Oh, I'm coming. Okay.
If you want to.
I'm going to go.
Do you want to do yoga instead?
I might come back after Jim, or I might be standing on my head. Not sure, people.
We'll find out. It'll be a mystery until we
It's a
find
mystery.
out. So we'll be right back after this short break. This is your Mac Life.
Your Mac Life.
We're back. We get letters, lots of letters. As always, you guys can send me emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. If you have any comments or things you want to say, got some emails. I got some older emails I'm going to get through while we're waiting for Jim. Tom R. just got around to watching last week's YML. So bummed for you. I couldn't live without my bikes. Now Jim's ready. God damn it. Okay, I'm gonna get Jim on the phone now, so we'll do that afterwards. So hang on a second. Let's do this, and then do this, and I'll put music up. So you guys just hang on a second. I'm gonna get Jim on the phone.
Hi, it's Vito from Prince George, British Columbia. I listen to Your Mac Life every week. I think I've been listening to Your Mac Life for 20 years. We're talking about 8 hours of entertainment a month on average. And yes, I do send in some money every month. I want to keep the show going. I think you can too. Help out Shawn and Melissa. Send them some bucks every month. If you enjoy the show, why not? 2, 4, 5, 10, 12, 100. See you later.
Welcome back, folks, to Your Mac Life. Thanks very much for joining us. A little late, but that's okay. We've got a good friend, Jim Dalrymple, The Loop, at loopinsight.com on the phone. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Sorry I'm late. I ran out of Heineken. Had to run to the store, stand in line. It's a
self-distancing, quarantine.
So I tried to push my way through the line, and of course, I have my shopping cart with me from under the bridge because I can't leave it because people steal shit. It's just.
There's I don't know how to approach you about this review you did of the Magic Keyboard for the iPad
Just
Pro.
do it. Just do it.
You have never written anything in the 25 years I've known you more effusive than this, and I'll explain what effusive means to you.
Okay, college mouth.
I've been waiting all day for that joke, dude. But no, this has got to be the most glowing review you've ever posted of something. Aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you ashamed? Your objectivity is shot now.
You know what?
What?
If I had have written that the day after I got the keyboard,
No.
I'd probably agree with you. But I've had it for a week.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to make this thing less productive than what it actually was. And I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I tried to, in the review, as we've talked about before, my reviews aren't about specs or anything. It's just about how I use it and what I find. And when I got it and I started using it, I thought, this cannot be as good as what I think it is. So I have to keep using it.
Yeah.
And the more I used it, the more things I found that were really useful. Like, for instance, just small things. Like, if you're in an app on the iPad and you want that app to go away, you swipe up with 3 fingers, you're now back at the home screen.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you can do that on the trackpad too. So it's just little tiny things. Anything that you can do on the screen, or at least from my uses, I can do on the trackpad.
No.
And then I have this full-size keyboard. And by the way, in case you're wondering, yes, I did write the entire review with the Magic Keyboard.
Well, I would expect nothing less.
Well, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I mean, with the other smart keyboard, I didn't, because it drove me nuts. But I always complained about the smart keyboard as well. I never liked that. I never said that I did. I like the idea of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is something that changes everything. And, sure, I said that the trackpad was a stupid idea.
Yes.
I was wrong.
Yes.
I was wrong. And I said in the review that this is part of the golden rule thing. Never underestimate how Apple is going to implement it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what got me when I started using the trackpad, and I started using gestures on the trackpad as well as, clicking and moving around and all of that kind of stuff. It just became so normal. It was kind of partway between a Mac and an iPad and all the things that you like about both of them.
Yeah.
And I don't set out in a review to be critical, and I don't set out in a review to be effusive, to use your word.
Nice.
I'm still not sure what it means.
But you used it correctly, so fake it till you make it, baby.
So I set out to see how a product fits into my workflow. And that's not just Apple stuff. That's music. Like if I get a new software amp for Logic and Pro Tools.
Yeah.
How good does that sound? What do I have to do to make this work with what I've already been doing? And that's exactly the same way that I approach, an accessory like the Magic Keyboard. And I honestly believe with what the change that it made me feel about the iPad, this is one of the most important accessories that Apple has ever released. I really believe that. And the AirPods Pro was the other one. I mean, that fundamentally changed the way that, AirPods changed the way that you communicate or listen or anything on the iPhone, or it connects to other things too. But mostly we use it on the iPhone, I think.
Sorry.
No, so I really think that the Magic Keyboard has fundamentally changed the way I look at an iPad.
The thing that struck me most about your review was the thing you just said. Never underestimate how clever Apple can be. This is another example of how, we say it jokingly, but it's absolutely true. People at Apple are a hell of a lot smarter than we are. There's just no way around it.
Yes, they are.
Just light years beyond anything. Because we would have said a trackpad on a keyboard, and Apple would have said, here, design this. We would slap that in there, and then you're done. It would never.
Well, you would have ended up with a Surface.
Exactly.
You would have ended up with a mouse pointer and all of that stuff. They didn't do that. They made this little gray circle, and when you move it around, it makes the apps grow bigger.
Yep.
It highlights elements, interface elements. It does so many different things. When I was writing the review, when you move it over text, it turns into a cursor.
Yeah.
So you can, delete things that you didn't want, or whatever. It's so smart, and that was my mistake.
Yeah.
I didn't give Apple the credit that they deserve for making these things not just easy to use. I mean, let's be honest, it's a mouse, so it's been around forever. But the way that they implemented it made it easy to use because it changes depending on where you put it.
We would have
automatically changes.
We would have all had developed a trackpad that would have just been a cursor on the iPad screen, because that's what we're used to. That's what we see on our Macintoshes. That's what we see when we use a mouse regularly. So that's what we would have done. But Apple, somebody or some people at Apple went, no, let's do this differently. Let's not just make it just a trackpad. Let's do something on screen with the trackpad. And every review I've seen, or every video I've seen of it, that just entrances me more and more. When I see it, I think, yes, that's just freaking brilliant to do that, to make that change. It's a simple change. It's a software change that just all it is a graphical change, but it's such an amazing change that it blows out of the water everything else around it and makes this thing, as you said, even more magical than the name implies.
Yeah. It really does. And the thing is, if I had have read the reviews that are out there,
which you have always said you don't do.
I didn't this time.
No.
I will go back now and read some,
sure, yeah.
But I haven't read a single review on the Magic Keyboard. I know that some people did reviews after a day of having it. Some people did reviews, after a few days.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over the fact that something that I scoffed at was changing the way that I felt about a device that's been out for years.
Yeah.
And as I said in the review, I mean, power is not a problem with the iPad.
Yes.
The problem with the iPad is that I think for people like me, and whether it's that I'm a longtime Mac user or whatever, the problem for a lot of people, I think, that use it like I do, is we couldn't get comfortable with the iPad. So it's not the fact that the iPad isn't powerful enough. It's powerful than most laptops.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's not an issue. the fact that it's got great cameras and, it's got all this stuff going for it, that has never been a problem.
No.
And every single generation of iPad since the beginning has been like that. So I think the problem was usability, and me being a dumbass, scoffed at the idea of a trackpad.
Well, to be fair, previous implementations of these devices haven't been up to snuff either. In the previous, not only other companies, but even Apple's own keyboards have been soft and mushy. That people haven't been crazy about them. You use them because you had to, because you were a hardcore writer. You were a Federico Viticci who does everything on the iPad, or you were, just someone who was committed to typing on the iPad, and you went, okay, this isn't great, but it'll do. This, from your review and from other reviews, obviously, has shown everyone should get one of these things if you've got the $500 Canadian to pay for it. But this makes the iPad, your description of your workflow where you use the iPad at the end of your day as you're relaxing on the
right.
underneath the bridge there in San Francisco, that's going to change for you. That you'll pick up the iPad first thing in the morning and do work on it now. Am I agree? Do you agree with me on that?
I did not. I will tell you this. I did not pick up my computer a single time today.
Yeah. And that's incredible.
I used the iPad all day long. I didn't pick up my computer once. So that is different for me. I mean, we've talked about this workflow thing for me for years.
Yep.
Yes, I use my iPhone all day long for all kinds of different things, whether it's communicating or, if I'm going for a walk or music or whatever. But my main thing is my Mac. At the end of the day, I put my Mac down. That's a signal to me to kind of relax. I use my iPad. That's just the way I do things. Today, I use my iPad all day long. I've used my iPad more and more since I got it last week because of the Magic Keyboard. So, I mean, not only did the Magic Keyboard help the iPad fit into my workflow, it's overtaken my workflow. And when they first talked about it, I never would have thought that would happen. It wasn't until I actually plugged it in that I was just, I didn't put this in the review, but I was going to say, like, I was kind of giddy. Like, I was just playing with it. Like, ooh, what else can I do? Ooh. It was just the weirdest thing. And that's why I think it's so important, because people that do normal things. Now, is a graphic artist gonna like this? No, they probably like the Apple Pencil more. But if you can have this as a normal, what most of the people are that are using iPads, a normal person, you have this, you've got everything.
That's one of the things that, again, I was interested in your review, was that idea that this makes the iPad Pro not a laptop competitor, but now it's the first time you can say that it can be a laptop replacement for a lot of people. That it's no longer just an accessory to the MacBook Pro, the Air, or even my iMac. It can now, for a lot of people, functionally replace those devices because of this keyboard. And as you say, that if that's the case, that makes it the most important accessories Apple's ever put out.
Yep. I mean, I said in there, I thought for a long time with the iPad that I liked the Mac better because of the OS. But I realize now that it was not the OS, because let's face it, we all know iOS very well. I mean, some people out there know iOS better than the Mac OS. So it's not that. It was my hands. That is what the problem was. And I'm used to typing on a keyboard that is a real key,
Yes.
which the smart keyboard wasn't.
Yep.
I'm used to having a trackpad. I'm used to being able to do things in a certain way. So navigating iOS versus macOS wasn't the issue. And that's what I blamed on.
Yeah.
I blamed it. But that's not what it was.
I think for me, the interesting thing would be the fact that I have always fundamentally hated trackpads, even on my MacBook Pros. I hate using a trackpad. I've always used
I
a mouse,
love it.
and I
love it.
love using a mouse. Whenever I have to go to my wife's computer and use her trackpad, it just drives me crazy. I have to do this thing. I've tried the Magic Trackpad, hated it. I've tried Logitech trackpads, hated them. So I'd be very curious
I didn't like
to know.
that either.
I'd be very curious to know if it would change my opinion of trackpads if it's that good. Now, the other question I have for you is the physicality of this thing. We've heard from a lot of people saying it's very heavy. That do you consider it to be heavy?
No.
And if it's not heavy, then it brings up the next question is how solid is it? If something is heavy, it's solid. If it's light, it's not. You say you're sitting with the thing on your lap and typing it on your lap. That makes me imagine this thing bouncing up and down.
Nope, never moves. Now, here's the funny thing, and the thing that surprised me is that, so I want to be able to sit in my chair. Now, I didn't put this in the review because it sounded bad. I have one of those Adirondack lawn chairs.
Oh, I hate those things.
Oh, yeah, but it's so comfortable because I have a high stool. Oh, excuse me, I put my feet up and I'm there usually on my computer, now on my iPad, and I'm typing away and everything is great. So one of the things that concerned me about this whole thing was that I was going to sit and I would not be able to type without the screen moving.
Yes.
Right? And the screen barely even moves, bounces, nothing.
No.
It does not move at all when I'm sitting there typing. But if I want to adjust the angle of the screen, it's very smooth. I can adjust the angle and it stays right there. And I don't know how they managed to do that. But you would think if something is easy to move, when you start pounding on the keyboard, it's going to shake.
Yes.
It's going to move. Yep. It's going to change the angle. Then you have to move it back.
Yep. Yep.
No, none of that happens. So because, you don't like to sit in one spot all day, because then you get sores, which, I could have. You never know.
Sharing too much.
Yeah. So I get up and I'll move. We have a table outside that I move to sometimes, and I'll sit over there for a while and keep typing and working and stuff like that. So all I have to do, I pick up the keyboard with by the corner with my thumb on top and my finger underneath, and I pick it up and walk over to the table. It doesn't move. Nothing moves. No. The angle doesn't change. Nothing moves. I set it down, and then I touch the screen and change the angle a little bit, because now I'm sitting at a table and not on my lap, and it's perfect. And it doesn't move. I sat at the table most of the day today. And this is the type of stuff. How do they make it so that it's so easy, just with a touch?
Yep.
You can change the angle, but yet I can pound away on the keyboard and it doesn't even shake.
Yeah, it should slide down or up or whatever direction it goes because of that. Yeah, it's. Right. I've seen other reviewers make that same remark, and it's like, I don't believe any of them. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. It could not be that easy.
It makes no sense.
No,
it makes no sense. but it's true.
It's very.
I don't understand how they did it, but they did it.
A lot of people are making comparisons to the way the iPad floats on the Magic Keyboard to the original lampshade iMac back in the
Yes.
day that had
Yep.
that arm. Your screen was on an arm. Were you
Right.
surprised Apple didn't go with an arm type look to reflect that? Does the fact that it's a solid piece along the back add any stability or any aesthetics to it, or is that just
Well, I mean, let's face it. The Magic Keyboard is also a case.
that's right too. Good point. Good point.
So all you have to do is tilt the iPad in and close the case
That
down,
was the case. That's right.
and you're done. I mean, now you have a case. And I told you last week, and I reiterate and believe even more strongly now, that if I was going away now, I would only take that iPad.
Yeah.
I don't need to bring it back with me.
We are in the middle of a global, worldwide pandemic, and yet Apple.
What? Wait,
is,
what? What?
Well, I know you may not have heard the news because you were in Mexico sunning yourself. And Apple has made so far two amazing announcements this quarter, this year. The
Are you drinking?
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
The iPhone SE, which is going to be just a monster hit, no matter what other
Mhm.
nuts might think, and now the Magic Keyboard, which I don't think will be as much of a hit, if only because of the fairly high price point for a keyboard.
It's worth it.
It is, but still, it's a lot of money to, again, up here in Canada, it's a $500 keyboard, so that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but that's 5 beaver pelts and 2 moose horns.
But Apple's going to have a hard time meeting sales expectations, if only because they don't have a physical location anymore where people
No,
can try
that's true.
this stuff out and sell it. There is a rumor that Apple is going to try to start reopening some of their stores come this May. Is that a good idea? Would you go into an Apple store the first weekend of May?
Look, California just put shelter-in-place restrictions in until the end of May
Yeah.
here. So there are some states that are reopening again. There are some countries that are trying to reopen again. And I get what they're trying to do. But, I mean, Apple is going to try and reopen where they can and where they feel it's safe. And every company seems to be, and I can only speak for Silicon Valley because I know a lot of people that work for different companies out here. All of the companies seem to be basing their reopening on guidelines from the state. So I would have to think that Apple is doing the same thing. I mean, now keep in mind, I think that Apple said this before. California said that they were going to quarantine or shelter in place until the end of May.
Yeah.
So will that change things? I don't know. I mean, are other countries better off than what the U.S. is? The U.S. leads right now. So I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I mean, it's a very tough decision. And as we've seen already, people are making that decision themselves.
Yeah.
Some people are self-quarantining very well. Others, not so much. I mean, we have protests even.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how to answer that.
I can't.
I go by the guidance.
I can't see any reason why, even if the stores were open, why I would want to go into even if I wanted to buy a product, why I would go into an Apple store the first weekend of May, even for the month of May, let's say. I know
Okay.
Apple's going to have going to have self-distancing requirements. Someone said, they wouldn't go into one of those crowded Apple stores. Well, no, the store's not going to be as crowded as they usually are, you numbnut. Apple's going to have lineups outside. The people will be 6 feet apart. There'll be a limited number of people in stores, limited number of people at the Genius Bar. So Apple's going to do everything they possibly can to limit anyone's exposure, employees as well. But even then, nowadays with the internet and the fact I can buy anything I want from Apple off the internet, I cannot see, unless my phone was broken, and I can bet you're not getting a Genius Bar appointment for the first month of May anyway, unless you get very, very lucky. Unless I needed to go to the Genius Bar, there's no way I'm going into an Apple store. There's no reason to. Why take the risk?
Well, that's a good point, but why take the risk and go grocery shopping?
Because I need food. I don't need my iPhone repaired.
Well, no, that's a fair point, and I don't disagree with you there. But, there are states and countries and people that believe that this isn't as bad as
Yep.
what some of us think, or what at least the California governor thinks.
Yep. And the problem with that thinking is that if they're right, fantastic. If you're wrong, more people die. So
Right.
I'd rather be on the side of caution of overly concerned about your safety and the safety of others than throw caution to the wind. We have an example of what happens when you do that. It was called the Spanish flu of 1918, 1919. That's 2 years.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why it went on so long was because people did exactly what they're doing now. They went back too soon.
I don't disagree with you. I really don't. And I will tell you, I don't know if you've had a chance to hear the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, talk about the whole coronavirus thing and how he's handling it and things like that. But he does a news briefing, I think, every day, and he's very open. He's very well spoken, and he's believable, and he's very cautious. And it makes me feel good when he talks.
Yeah.
And that's what a leader is supposed to do.
Yeah.
He's supposed to make you feel good. And he says, stay home.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stay home. That's fine.
Monty brings up a good point. I wouldn't go to an Apple store, but I'd go to a Microsoft store because they're always empty.
Oh, Monty.
You can't tell the difference between an open Apple. You can't tell the difference between a Microsoft store during a pandemic and one that isn't, because they're the same number of people.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that.
Doesn't frickin' matter. One of the things that I've been thinking about with all of this stuff is, can you imagine, and tell me if you think it would be worse or better, if this had happened, let's say 25 years ago, before the internet? Would we be better off or worse off because of this?
Well,
does technology help or hurt us in this regard?
Well, in a lot of circumstances, technology definitely helps us. There can be no doubt about that. Technology helps us, but it also hurts us because there's so much false information out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And all of the people that are sharing these false stories that they hear. I mean, one of them that I heard was that you should put your mail in your oven at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes.
That's
well,
right.
then you don't have any more mail.
What great way to get rid of bills.
That's perfect. If you want to put your mail in an oven for 15 minutes at 200 degrees, then have at it. You won't have any bills to pay.
That's right.
I mean, there's just so many things that are that's disinformation. I don't want to use the
Yeah.
term fake news, but
Yeah.
disinformation that unfortunately people believe. Putting disinfectant into your body, um, information that should not be shared and is shared and is believed. That is technology
Yeah.
that is allowing that type of sharing to happen. And so is that good? Not really.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's really good. But technology is allowing us to stay informed.
Yep. Or misinformed.
And well, I mean, we all have um, sites or news or whatever that we believe.
Yep.
Technology is allowing us to hopefully stay smart
Yep.
in what we do. And, I can only hope that other people realize um, that we're just all trying to be safe, you know? And I I, I don't know.
I think 25 years ago, let's say before the internet, one of the upsides and downsides of this is we would all be getting our information from sources that at that time we thought were trustworthy. The mainstream media, ABC, NBC, CBS, CBC, those kinds of things. And I think overall, those mainstream media outlets would be doing a better job of informing the public. The problem is because of technology, we have so many other ways of getting information and information that already confirms our previously held beliefs. And that's the danger from
Well, see,
Facebook or Fox News or from other organizations that just tell us what we want to hear. Whereas
and
25 years ago, the media really didn't do that.
see, this is the thing that we've talked about before, specifically about technology, where we talk about, um, let's take privacy and security.
Yeah.
If you believe something about privacy, you surround yourself with other people and other organizations that share your beliefs about privacy, whether it's okay or it's not.
Yeah.
And then you feel that you're making a difference when you're actually not, because you're just surrounding yourself with people that believe what you believe.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel it's the same way um, with this coronavirus, that you know I think people that don't believe it are kind of people that do believe it and don't believe it are surrounding themselves with other people, like-minded people.
Yes.
And I, I think that's very dangerous, because you're not getting the views against yours, and people don't want to hear views
No.
against their own views.
You just end up
They want to
being
hear people support their views.
you just end up being in an echo chamber.
Right. So, I, I so tomorrow I will go read. And I realize this isn't as serious. I get that, but I will go read some of the reviews that were written about the Magic Keyboard.
Yeah.
And now that I've written mine and it's done, it's out there, I'll read some of the others. Did I miss something?
Yeah.
Is there, a problem that I didn't find after a week? I will read those, and I'll read them with some interest, to try and counteract what I believe
Yeah.
about this product. So, um, it's the same thing when you look at news about something like the coronavirus. I try and look at everything. Is there something? Okay, so CNN says something, maybe I believe them.
Yeah.
Fox says something, And maybe I don't believe it. Well, why? You know, and would I go, you know, you were talking about going into an Apple store. Uh, would I go to a protest standing shoulder to shoulder with people to open up the country? Absolutely
Yeah.
not. I would not do that. And, you know, there are, um, you know, preachers in the South that died from coronavirus, and they said that God would save them.
Yep.
They wouldn't. Okay, so that didn't work out. You know, so obviously there's things that aren't going to work, and there are things that maybe will work, and we just have to hopefully rely on each other to be smart.
For me, it's part of my natural inclination towards science and logic. I listen to scientists. I listen to doctors and those people. I turn a deaf ear to most politicians because they've got their own agenda and they've got their own reasons for saying what it is. Even the good ones like Newsom and Cuomo. But for the most part, I listen with half a thought towards the politicians. But I do focus on what our local doctors and scientists say, and our local doctor here in British Columbia, Dr. Bonnie Harvey, has been fantastic. What a great voice of calm and reason she is. And honestly, you're talking about Gavin Newsom and the way he projects not good feelings, but it makes you feel good about what they're
Calm.
doing. Calm. Same thing with Justin Trudeau here in Canada.
Yeah, I agree.
The Prime Minister of Canada his wife had COVID-19. She was isolated and he was quarantined. So they've been through this. So to hear him talk, even if you don't agree with everything he's saying and doing, they project that calmness and that, hey, we know what we're doing. Here are the scientists. The scientists are saying this. We'll do what the scientists say. And those are the people I pay attention to.
Well, so I believe in the science of these people that have studied diseases for their entire lives.
Yep.
In the U.S., it's Fauci. You know, that is a smart man.
Yeah.
You know, there is no doubt he is a smart man. And you know, I listened, and we talked about this, I think, last week. I listened to the Canadian podcast as it happened. And the Canadians were always they were further out to when this was going to stop than the Americans. And, you know, they've proven to be right so far. And I know that people want this to go away.
Sure.
I get that. I want this to go away too. You know, my pub has been closed down now for weeks.
You got your priorities straight, don't you?
It's driving me nuts. You know, I want this thing gone. You know, but it's we all have our belief system, and I hope during times like this that we can kind of get away from just believing everything that supports what we believe.
No. Folks, that's it for this episode. Sorry, for Jim's segment. I want to say thanks, Jim, for being on the show. I'm sorry. Now it's question time with Jim. That's what we're going to call it from now on. Question time with Jim.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have an Apple Pencil?
I do not.
Uh-huh. Why?
I don't have an iPad Pro.
Okay. Let's assume you had an iPad Pro.
Okay.
Would an Apple Pencil be the accessory that you got over the Magic Keyboard?
Ooh. Especially your review, because like I said, I've known you for 25 years and you've never written a review that's as glowing as this one. Before your review, I would have said no, the pencil, because the pencil to me seemed to be more functional for what I'd use an iPad Pro, which is editing photos in the field, at a coffee shop, at the beach, that kind of thing. But now with your description and others, obviously, of the keyboard and the trackpad and the functionality of the trackpad, I'm really leaning towards now I would get the iPad Pro and the trackpad and not the mouse, even though the mouse is significantly cheaper than the trackpad. Than the Magic Keyboard. I think overall it would expand the use case for me of the iPad Pro into many more areas. Because I wouldn't type on the iPad Pro. I would not write articles like you guys do on the iPad Pro on that.
Yeah, you would.
Keyboard. No, sorry, on the screen. If I just had the iPad
Oh,
Pro
yeah.
and a pencil, I wouldn't bother. But
No, me neither.
I know after reading all these reviews that I would write a whole lot more with an iPad Pro and a Magic Keyboard than I would with an iPad Pro and a pencil.
So, are you saying then that creativity isn't as important as being able to type?
That's a good question. And go ahead.
I thought so. I do this for a living.
And the reason why I would answer no to that is because of your description of the trackpad. If the trackpad is as good as what you all say, it could replace the pencil for the editing work I want to do.
Is that for you, or is that for all creative pros, or do you see the pencil as something like a drawing type thing?
Yeah, I see the pencil as more for those folks who are doing art, who are doing graphic design, who are using those kind of drawing apps and that kind of stuff. It can be used for photo editing. It could be used for Photoshop, but it feels like, according to what I've seen from Apple, that it's more designed towards that sort of artistry, drawing, graphic design, that kind of stuff, than it is focused on the editing of photos. I think the pencil can do that, but it's not designed to do that. Neither are the apps that you would use to do that. It would be a bit of a kludge.
So when you're editing a photo on your Mac, you hate the trackpad
I
anyway.
hate the trackpad. Yeah, I can use it, but it's not as easy to use as my mouse is. But that being said, if I had a Magic Keyboard, from your description, I would get used to using the trackpad because it's a better trackpad than I've used in the past.
So you don't view the pencil as being as valuable as the trackpad.
I don't know if I'd say
A trackpad that works.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't say valuable. I think as useful as, because you can't just get the trackpad, so we can't replace it with the pencil. So you can't discuss it that way. I don't see the pencil being as useful as the keyboard trackpad combination.
So, but it seems to me you're getting two things mixed up here.
Okay.
You're talking about a keyboard trackpad combination, which you would use to write. You would use to, post things. And very easy to do. Very, I'm telling you, it's great. But then you're talking about something that is designed for graphics pros like you.
Yep.
With the pencil. So what's more important to you, typing or being able to edit?
The pencil only does one thing in my workflow. That's editing. Right? I wouldn't use the pencil as a pointer. I wouldn't use it to tap on objects or play games and else like that. The only thing the pencil would be of use to me for is photo editing in the field. Okay? Whereas the Magic trackpad and keyboard would be used not only for photo editing in the field, but also typing and posting and you know what I'm saying? There's more functionality with the trackpad and with the Magic Keyboard than there is with the pencil. The pencil's a one-trick pony.
So you don't care about the pencil?
I like the pencil. I don't see the pencil as a requirement for what I wanted to do with an iPad.
Okay.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
It's a good question too, because it makes me think about why I am leaning towards why I leaned towards the pencil before. I leaned towards the pencil before was because previous trackpads sucked. You know, most of the
No,
reviews,
that's true.
that say they were great were people who were biased towards the iPad to begin with. No offense to Vitici, he's going to love all this stuff because that's what he does all day long, and he gets used to things. And nerds tend to overlook the deficiencies of products they really, really like. And so I discounted his and looked to other reviews of people who don't use the iPad constantly. And for the most part, no one loved their keyboard. They got used to it, but no one loved it. Everyone loves this keyboard, and that's changed my
Yes.
mind about iPad keyboards. Before I wouldn't even have bought one. Now I'm
No.
thinking you'd have to buy one. It's got to be a
Well,
bundle.
to be clear, I did try some of the other companies' keyboards as well with iPads. I bought some of those,
Yep, same here.
and there is just no comparison to this.
Behind me on this bookshelf, I probably got 4 or 5 different iPad keyboards that are just gathering dust back here because I tried them
yeah.
for a day, an hour, a week, whatever it might be.
Right.
Went, no, I got to go back to my regular keyboard, or this is so annoying I can't do it. Because like you, my iPad use was primarily at the end of the day when I wanted to get away from this desk situation. I want to go sit out on the back porch, or I'm at a coffee shop, or I'm in Lisbon, and I don't want to bring out the full-size laptop. But the keyboards...
Lisbon.
You went to Mexico for 3 weeks. Shut up.
I could be in Lisbon.
You were in a villa in Mexico for 3 weeks. Shut up. So... in that case, then the keyboard wasn't a huge importance to me. But I can see from your review and others, it would really free me up to be away from this desk a whole lot more. Because right now I can only work at this desk. I can only get the things I need to do on a daily basis at this desk where I'm at. With an iPad Pro and that Magic Keyboard, I can see how I could be lots of other places and get the same amount of work done. Right now, for example. If I'm out and about, something happens, and I wanted to post a story on the Loop, God damn, it was a painful process with the iPad. It was just a freaking nightmare, cutting and pasting and switching apps and doing this stuff, and it was just I wouldn't do that for the 5, 6, 7 stories I post a day. But now with this keyboard and that trackpad, it sounds like I could do exactly that. I'd love to try it out and experiment with it.
I did it.
Yep.
I mean. Yeah.
Interesting
well,
stuff.
that was very interesting, and I made your show go long. I feel good.
Not a problem. I can keep reminding people this show used to be 3 hours long, so this is nothing,
Yeah.
man. This is 94 minutes.
Right.
This is nothing. This is a breeze. Folks, we're talking to Jim Dalrymple with The Loop at loopinsight.com. He has his own podcast called The Dalrymple Report, available on the iTunes Store. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks a lot, Shawn.
Talk next week, buddy. See you.
Bye.
As Jim pointed out, yes, we have run long, and Melissa is doing her yoga right now, so we're going to wrap this thing up. I want to say thanks very much, as always, to Jim for being on the show. That's the wrong window. I want to say big thanks to my friend Vito Mori, who posted a video. I'm going to post it up on YouTube, and I'm going to insert it into this show. So you folks who are watched it archive, you already saw that, so ignore me. It's you folks live. I'm talking about this, but you live folks. So I'll get it into the show on next week's show. Wonderful video that Vito did for me. I really appreciate it and love that guy all to death. Thanks as always to my beautiful wife. Thanks to you guys for being tuned in live or in the archive. And a big, huge, monstrous, as big as I can possibly make it, happy 14th birthday to the YML kid. Logan Gare is 14 years old today. God, we're old. We all remember when Logan was born. And even before Logan was born, I've been doing the show for 13 years. So, happy birthday to you, Logan, and to the Gare family, the nicest family I know, even outside of mine. So that's saying something. That's it for tonight's show, folks. Thanks very much as always. I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya.